after a 1-week vacation. Did you miss us?
1 week? It was last year.
The best coverage of high school and college athletics in Northeast North Carolina begins now. This is NENC Sports Radio Show on WRVS 89.9.
Now it's our turn to ring in 2017 with some Northeastern North Carolina athletics. This is the NENC Sports Radio Show. I'm Owen Hassel, sports editor of the Daily Advance, and the man with a plan who can, even with I messed it up. We're just to keep rolling with it. It's Malcolm Shields. I tried to put like 8 rhymes together, and it's 2017.
Yes.
We'll edit it. And we're probably not going to edit. Every time we say we're going to edit something,
it stays
Clay's like, he just leave it in anyway. And we sound like morons. But no, we don't sound like morons, do we?
I do sometimes.
No, that doesn't happen. Here's our witty banter of 2017 already. Only a few days in. We got a lot to get to.
Yep.
Mostly look back at 2016, but then a lot of basketball, which is going to make Clay Mercer very excited.
Absolutely.
He is ready for some basketball. When I say ready, he's been ready for like a month and a half, and now we can finally sink our teeth into some basketball. But before we get into that, for more on Northeastern North Carolina sports, follow us on Twitter. Also use the hashtag NENC Sports to keep the discussion rolling. You can follow us at NENC Sports. Then for me, I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
And there's more ways to stay involved with sports in Northeastern North Carolina in the form of a blog. Go to nencsports.wordpress.com for tidbits that aren't always in the Daily Advance, plus interviews and video from various Northeastern North Carolina games. Can't get our minds totally off 2016, so let's recap after this.
Sportsmanship. It means a lot of things.
It means showing respect for the opposing team
and being a good host for our visitors.
It's about modeling good behavior and not getting caught up in the emotion of the moment.
It's about winning with humility,
losing with dignity.
It is about making my high school games.
It's a good memory that I can enjoy for years to come.
Mr. Official.
Mom.
Dad. Son.
Daughter. Coach.
Are we in this together?
Sportsmanship. Together we make the right call.
This message has been brought to you by the North Carolina High School Athletic Association.
We know it's time to look forward, 2017 being here. But now, how about we take a peek at what was 2016 just for a moment?
Mm-hmm.
All area teams published in the Daily Advance last week, and obviously it represented the previous fall season. Football, girls tennis, boys soccer, volleyball, and boys and girls cross country. Let's start with the area players of the year. Remembering the newspaper's coverage area: Chowan, Perquimans, Pasquotank, Camden, and Currituck counties. Volleyball, Currituck's Cameron Johnson. That's back-to-back for her, just a sophomore. Got a chance to do 4 in a row. Boys soccer, Trey Calloway of Currituck. Girls tennis's top player was Ellie Reinhardt of Edenton. 2 more aces got those honors, and Amy Turner for girls cross country. Football's Keeman Bailey. Boys cross country, Camden's Dominic Brooks. Malcolm, you've got a list of the all-area talents throughout those fall sports. Why don't you read them off?
All right, let's start off with football. You mentioned Keeman Bailey for football. He was our player of the year. Other Edenton players include Luke Hoggard, Jarvie Thomas, Stanley White, Kyrese Phelps, Raymark Benberry, Davon Colston, Ventrell Harris, and Graham Tunney. For Northeastern, Trey Sawyer, Nick Golden, Ja'Cory Shaw, Tyleek Overton, Travion Freshwater, Timon Stallings, and J.R. Walker. For Perquimans, we had Wayne Worley on the line, DeJuan Williams, Elijah Lane. For Pasquotank, 2 selections, Marcus and Michael Cowell. For Currituck, we had Ryan Edwards, Isaiah McCarraher, and for Camden, Brandon Underwood. For volleyball, Cameron Johnson makes the team, also as player of the year. Currituck, we had Jesse Wilson, Madeline Duncan, Bianca Berry for Camden, Jamie McKinney for Camden, and J.C. Staples also for Camden. And for Perquimans, Casey Copley and Samantha Midget. And for Northeastern, we had Macy Keaton. For boys soccer, we had Currituck's Trey Calloway, obviously player of the year. He, along with his teammates Madison Phillips and Ryan Camden. For Northeastern, Jorge Pena, LP Hornthal, Seth Overman, and Jose Molina. For Camden, Austin Byers, going along with his teammate Cody Wallingford. For Pasquotank, we had Jonathan Post, Edenton was Eric Gonzalez, and for Pacoima was Seth Craiglow. For girls cross country, Edenton obviously runner of the year, and Amy Turner. Camden had 2 selections in Hannah Healy and Autumn Healy. Currituck had Madison Davis and Jessica Anderson, and Northeastern was Nyla Harris. For boys cross country, Dominic Brooks, runner of the year for the boys. He had his teammate Jeff Bryant. Northeastern had 2 selections with Trevor Parr and Seth Overman. Pasquotank had a selection with Montgomery Krause and Edenton runner Skylar Riddick. And for girls tennis, we had Ellie Reinhardt, the player of the year, going on with her teammates Whitney Cranford, Natalie Gonzalez, Anna Bass. And for Currituck, her representative for the Lady Knights was Sarah Dover. And for Northeastern, Anna Claire Foreman.
That's a lot of names.
Yes.
And you did it flawlessly.
Yes, I'm proud of myself.
You've actually did you even practice?
A little bit.
Okay. Of course, this is the NENC Sports Radio Show, so we can cover more ground and not just the Daily Advance coverage area. Who are some athletes we're missing as the best in the corner? I'll start with football. Quarterback, First Flight's Braxton Hughes. I'd put him in the mix. Mm-hmm. Just imagine him with Northeastern's receivers.
It would have been a pretty prolific year.
Right. Mm-hmm. It was already a good year for Braxton Hughes, hence me saying I would put him on the team. Mm-hmm. In that case, I've got a couple other names down, but I don't want to take your thunder. Mm-hmm. Some of the guys you're thinking of.
Hertford County, I'm thinking Kyan Perry, the running back, missed the first few games of the season, comes on, and he's probably the catalyst for the reason why Hertford County goes on the run that they did in the playoffs. Also with the standout wide receiver, Ja'Cory Roberson, also of Hertford County. He also had a standout year in terms of athletes in our area.
I would say Josh Downing, tailback at Plymouth. Mm-hmm. If for nothing else, the Vikings deserve some love because
Absolutely.
Got back to another state championship. We're just talking about football right now, but obviously other sports. I mean, Alex Rodman for girls cross country would be pretty obvious as far as the runner of the year. And we're not trying to do this as disrespect to other runners. It's just if we had First Flight in the mix or if we had another school in the mix. And again, this is Northeastern North Carolina Sports Radio. Let's try to get as many of those schools involved as possible. As far as what we do have, I think Cameron Johnson would still be player of the year.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'd be close. I mean, every coach picked Cameron Johnson because she can do a little bit of everything.
Right.
I mean, she plays a lot of beach volleyball, so she's used to having to set, to having to not just kills, but I mean, get all over the court, fall for shots and digs. I mean, she led the team in like 3 or 4 different categories.
That's impressive.
Just a sophomore, people.
Yeah.
I cannot reiterate enough. She's got 2 more years. She's been that player that's put Currituck over the top. Now they are the team to beat.
Correct.
In this area. When it was Northeastern for what seemed like 4 or 5 years, now it's Currituck. What are the Lady Knights going to do the next 2 years? They got to a regional championship this year. Can they take the next step? Carrboro is going to be an awfully tough one to get past, at least for next year for sure, probably the next couple of years. But if you got Cameron Johnson on your team, you always have a chance.
Absolutely.
So I would still have her. Boys soccer, I would just pick anybody off First Flight.
Yes. Spin the wheel.
Anybody just, throw the wheel in there. As a player, you just pick them up. There you go. You're good to go. Same thing with boys cross country because First Flight, out of the top 10 runners in the league in Northeastern Coastal, they had 8 of those 10 spots. Trevor Farr was one of the 2, and I'm trying to remember the Hertford County runner that was also in that top 10. That was it. Otherwise, it was First Flight and then First Flight. It was all about them running this year, and they usually are at the top of the conferences. That's not really a lot different. If there was one school that had a great year in the Northeast corner, it was First Flight.
Absolutely.
A great fall. I'm just saying fall season right now, not the whole 2016, even though it wasn't bad throughout the year. I'm just talking about the fall season. Incredible year for the Nighthawks. Wow. We got through all that, and I wanted to talk about a coach of the year. In certain sports, if not all the sports from the fall. I'd go with Deanna Chesson for girls tennis. Lady Aces, last year's a 2A school. They win the conference title. Had 4 players on the all-area team, as you saw there. I wouldn't change much with the all-area for girls tennis, except probably a First Flight representative because they had tied during the regular season. So we do that. Volleyball, Jennifer Hopkins of Currituck. Let's make that easy. Another great year for the Lady Knights. Boys soccer, Juan Ramirez of First Flight. I mean, come on.
Can't go wrong there.
This is his third time reaching the state championship, and by golly, the Nighthawks won it, and won it convincingly. He deserves it. Some people say it's always about the coach who made strides in a season when a team wasn't as good the year before. I get that, and I'm okay with some of that. But sometimes you just need to give props to the coach that won it all, the coach that did really well. Because, yeah, you can have talent, but you still got to win with that talent. Mm-hmm. And I covered First Flight years ago when the talent was there just like it is today, but they have a hard time just getting out of the second round. You're going, what's wrong here? The talent at First Flight, why are you only getting out of this? You're not getting past the second round. What's going on? There was a lot of ego back then. There were just a lot of different things going on where maybe the school was so new as well. Kids were trying to mesh with each other. But Juan Ramirez has come in and said, listen, we've got a program here. You know who you are. You've played here a few years now. Maybe your brother played a few years back. We got things going. And he's just got things in a great direction. I mean, 3 state championship appearances in 4 years. By golly, that's the most impressive. Right now, I'm going to put it right out there. First Flight Boys Soccer is the most dominant program in Northeastern North Carolina, any sport.
Fair.
It's very fair. If someone tells me unfair, fine. You want to tell me it's unfair on the Periscope? I'm putting it on Periscope right now. All of 2 people that are watching it. That is the team to beat. We talk about Northeastern football a lot. Northeastern football hasn't been to 3 state championships in 4 years. They haven't been to one since 2010.
Yep.
And we know why they should have gotten to one this year and didn't. So that's where that lies. Now for football. I'm kind of getting around the point. Now, football, everyone wants to hear, if we had a coach of the year, what would we pick? Malcolm?
It's kind of hard to ignore the most successful team in our area, which was Edenton. We got to remember, this team was 6-6, pretty beat up last year. They put in the work during the offseason. Got to give Coach Hargard a lot of credit of getting these guys together, buying into his system in the second year, and they made progress, and they got to the state championship game.
So Paul Hoggard from Edenton, your pick. I'm going to go a little bit of a wild card here.
Okay.
Grantley Mazzell of Bertie. With apologies to Scott Jones of Camden, you never underestimate Scott Jones.
Yes.
And the way he brought the team back from, I think, 1-5 and then finished 5-7, that was incredible. But I thought there was more things in the way of Bertie.
Right.
Started out the year 1-4, finished 5-7, got to the 2A state playoffs, gave South Columbus all they wanted for 3 quarters. The same South Columbus team that got to the regional final until Edenton put the beat down on them.
Right.
Bertie, the way they fought back from that, lost their top running back.
Yeah, didn't even have them the whole year.
Right. I mean, they had so much going against them, did the Falcons, and not to mention the flooding.
Correct.
The storms. I mean, it was just like one thing after the other. If you're Coach Grantley Mazzell, you had, I hate excuses, but you had excuses here where you could have packed it in. And I don't think anyone would have complained.
Yeah.
Wow, a lot for Bertie. I understand. He was having trouble just making sure he had players safe certain weeks after this flooding, and they come back and finish 5-7. You've got to be incredibly optimistic about what Bertie's going to have the next couple years. If you're having to play Bertie, watch out. I'm not saying they'll be back to the state championship days of 3A again, but you got to think there's some positive direction now for Bertie. And I've said it from the beginning, Bertie and Hertford County, they need to be strong for this conference to be strong again.
Absolutely.
And they've had their ups and downs the past few years, which has allowed a team like Edenton to start to have more success, though. It's allowed Northeastern to look even stronger. But the depth of the conference, you need those 2 teams to be good. You need every team to be good, but you know Hertford County and Bertie are going to have athletes every year that they should perennially win 6, 7, 8 games. And now you've got Bertie looking like they're on a bit of an upswing. Look at Hertford County the last couple of years.
It looks like they're back there.
Yeah, and as Sam Walker told us on our last show of 2016, watch out, because it looks like Hertford County's back. And Northeastern is tired of looking at Hertford County, which we'll get to in a moment, in multiple sports. So my pick again, Grantley Mazzell of Bertie, just in his first year at Bertie, just what he did despite everything. Top stories from 2016, the Northeastern Boastful Conference. This is one of my favorite puns.
Yes.
I kept telling Michael, please use this in the story. Please use the story. Northeastern Boastful Conference. It's
all right,
fantastic. And there it is. I'm writing it for you. There it is. Regional finalist for Northeastern boys basketball, Edenton baseball, and Currituck volleyball. State finalist for Edenton football, and a state championship for First Flight boys soccer. speaks for itself. That's every season of 2016, the calendar year, a team from this conference had a team or was in either a regional final or a state championship. That's never happened before. Did Chad Williams say it has?
When I talked to him, he just said this is one of the, it's a great year and it brings a lot of spotlight and attention to kids in this area.
Right. It just hasn't happened. It'd be hard pressed to find one where it's happened. And is there a chance for it to happen this year? I don't know. That's a lot to live up to. Yeah. But you got any other storylines this year? It was 2016.
2016.
Yeah, it was that type of year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good choices. I mean, if you want to, take it from the college perspective, I guess a lot of, change in terms of ECSU, in terms of, coaches coming in and out, and, Ernest Wilson coming in and having an impact his first year. He had a lot of skeptics in terms of his hire and his record at Savannah State being 2-32, and he took a roster of guys that he had to try to sell from when he got here, and he found a way to get wins in division play, and he had them within the game of possibly playing for CIAA championship.
Yeah, coach of the year in the conference. You can't. What he had was next to nothing. You got to respect that. Yeah. So that was a big enough storyline itself. We had our top 10 stories of the year in the Daily Advance. You can check that out at dailyadvance.com. Now, basketball. We're moving forward now. Now it's 2017. Again, Clay Mercer smiling over there. He's just so excited about this WRVS Game of the Week hoops coverage, which he's already been knocking out the past few weeks. Northeastern at Bertie basketball on Friday. There's the plug. We're good to go there. Speaking of the Eagles, Malcolm, triple overtime game on Tuesday against what's becoming a pesky Hertford County program. We know about the football game. You would think Northeastern would be amped to throw a little revenge factor into the mix, knowing this is probably the toughest team they will play in the conference. And you lose in triple overtime at home. I'm going to let you speak on it. You covered the game. I wasn't there. So what was up?
Man, it's a heck of a ball game. Ja'Cory Roberson for Hertford County. I mean, the guy was just going around making posters against of other people, just dunking and everything. Just Northeastern, just a really good back and forth ball game. You thought that they would kind of find a way to pull it out there in the overtimes, and then Hertford County would respond, and it looked like Northeastern was going to pull it out for good. DeMar Sutton, he really came on in that second half. I think he scored 15 of his 17 in that second half. Brian Jones gave a good effort throughout the game, but it was just Ja'Cory Roberson and Zion Riddick for Hertford County, the point guard. It just Northeastern had a tough time staying in front of their point guards, stay in front of Hertford County's point guards, and I think that was kind of the difference down the stretch. I think the biggest thing now is how will Northeastern kind of adjust going into a conference game on Friday night. Bertie is always going to be a tough challenge, but what are the adjustments is Coach Ron Lynch going to make with his team?
And you don't want to overlook Bertie right now because you just beat him 10 days ago.
Right,
beat him pretty handedly. Bertie's 3-9, I think 2-2 in the conference. They did score 120 on First Flight.
Yeah,
First Flight had 107, 120 to 107 that game. Defense definitely optional.
Yes.
So, yeah, especially at Bertie, that can be a hostile crowd.
When
you go to Windsor, it's you just don't go into Windsor.
There you go.
You just don't go into Bertie and just pick up the dub and go home. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Northeastern picks itself back up. I think Northeastern wins the game. It's just a matter of how it breaks down. I mean, do you let Bertie hang around, or are you still thinking about a game that you can't do anything about now? I still think they're missing Sean Walker, something fierce.
Yeah. I think that was one thing that kind of stood out to me. It seemed like sometimes in half court they kind of struggled a bit trying to distribute the basketball, and I think if Sean Walker was still here, he would be the answer to that. So I think it's going to be interesting who kind of emerges as a point guard for Northeastern, or do you get the ball to DeMar a little bit more and let him kind of create a little bit more?
We'll get to a little more basketball and obviously what's been happening the last few days in all of Northeastern North Carolina athletics after this.
Keep this conversation going right now on our Facebook page. More NENC Sports Radio Show is coming up.
Discover graduate education at Elizabeth City State University. ECSU currently offers 4 graduate degree programs: elementary education, biological sciences, school administration, and mathematics. To learn more, contact the Office of Graduate Education at 252-335-3947 or online at ecsu.edu.
Am I out of my head? Am I out of my mind? If you only knew the bad things I like, don't think
the winter season.
I can't explain it. What can I say?
It is here.
Yes. All 60 degrees so far.
That's going to change.
Yes.
That's supposedly going to change. As it can be around here. We can go from 60 degrees to 3 inches of snow.
I'm starting to learn that.
I don't like it. I like nothing about it. Speaking of things I'm not caring too much about, come on now.
Jump on, get on me, all right.
Can we work on these scorebooks for basketball? What is happening here? We're getting scores on the scoreboard, not jiving with the books. This already costs Malcolm. It cost MacU a game. You were at that. How embarrassing that was, especially at the college level. No matter what level of college, when these books aren't matching up. But I'm getting books from coaches that have one score, and I'm seeing Max Prep's another score, and I'm even counting up the points that are put there, and that's wrong. Like, we're all over the place here. Fortunately, every game I've been to where I've seen this, there's been like a 10 or 12 point difference where it looks like the score would still be for the team that was said to be the winner. It's really frustrating to see that right now. It's got to be more frustrating for coaches than it would be for us, even though we'd like to make sure we know who won the game and who lost.
Kind of want to think that they just want to focus on the game, and this is one of the things that they don't want to think about.
Yeah, just please pay more attention. Come on now.
Jump on.
And let's just get right on into some Twitter shouting.
Your tweets go here. Twitter shouts.
This from Sean Bridges Sr. He's at Sean, SHAWN, 28364. Of course, his son, Sean Bridges Jr., playing for Elizabeth City State. He's called in on the show before.
Yes, he has.
He did that during the Ernest Wilson episode.
Yes.
He called in, and Ernest gave a usual political reply, and we were good to go. Here's what he had to say. So First Flight, a 2A, takes down Scotland, a 4A today in basketball. This was during a tournament in the holidays. Last day of the tournament, First Flight did indeed beat 4A Scotland County. The Fighting Chad Williams three-pointers did it.
There you go.
So it was a pretty big deal. You just don't see that happening, no matter what the strength of the 4A school. But I mean, Scotland County was a team predicted to win a state championship in football. You think a couple of those kids come over to the basketball, do some good things.
Yeah.
So First Flight's still a relatively young team. Dylan Blake tends to be their leading scorer. He's a freshman, and he's draining threes left and right. Chad Williams has been there long enough. He's been able to establish this. He says, you know what? This is what we have. This is what we're going to do. Does it look pretty one-dimensional? Yes. But we're going to do this because it's our best chance of winning. And he's adapted to that. Chad could adapt to any situation. I believe that. He's coached at different places, but he knows what his personnel is. To me, the mark of a good coach is coaching to the personnel.
Absolutely.
You can know your own scheme till you're blue in the face. But if you can't coach to what you have, it's worthless. So he knows he's got a team that can jack up some threes. Beat Pascal Tank the other night. He hit 12 threes as a team. And that's low.
Yeah.
That's a low number for a team that's probably averaging as many threes as anybody in the country. In the country, because they shoot so many. Can't give enough praise to First Flight, even with the number of threes, because if they aren't falling, then it's Northeastern, like the first matchup where they lost by 30 or 40 points. They know that's the other side of it. Wow. A lot of three-pointers. So we encourage all of you to tweet about NENC Sports, and yours might get put on the air. Just post your thoughts or questions. We'll try to answer them. Use the hashtag NENC Sports. Let's get to some high school roundup. Pasquotank's girls win at First Flight 52-41 on Tuesday. Amaya Simpson with 17 points and 14 rebounds. Malcolm, she's putting up pretty balanced numbers. I would have her right now as an early choice as area player of the year. Am I?
Yeah, she's a strong consideration. She had a pretty strong tournament up in Virginia. Led the Lady Panthers to the championship of that tournament. She's been solid all year. She was solid again last year. She was an all area selection. So, if Pasquotank's going to make some moves this year and move a little bit farther in the playoffs, it's going to be up to her and Daisy Williams as well.
As I mentioned earlier, First Flight, of course, beating Pasquotank 89-70. Tyler High, 22 points. Only hitting again the 12 three-pointers. Mm-hmm. This is a low number for First Flight. I don't know why you're laughing, because it really is a low number for First Flight. Yeah. Camden boys took care of Madame Mesquite 56-36, remain unbeaten in the Coastal 10, but a pretty big matchup coming up Friday against Plymouth. Camden girls also took care of the Lady Lakers 46-13. Nicole Velarde with 10 points. Women's just one loss in the league thanks to Camden, but the boys topped Columbia 70-59 as usual. Coach Tommy Johnson, nothing stat-wise is going to get online with Women's. He's too worried other teams are going to learn this extra information, which, son, we're in the digital age now. Everybody know everything. Everything. Yeah. All right, maybe they don't know that such and such has 10 points and they thought they had 8. Mm-hmm. But they can watch film. They can see things.
Yeah, they got the huddle out there.
It's not that difficult. Just get it out there, man. Make sure people know your players are doing this and that. You're doing your kids a service when you do that each and every time. And you help us out, selfishly. You help us out so we can get the story out. But Women's did lose to Currituck, 61-59. So there's a pretty tight outcome. That was on Wednesday night. Currituck getting the win. Edenton's fighting Robert Woodley's. Lost in overtime, 45-42 to Bertie. That was the team's 4th straight loss. 2 of them had come in overtime. First one was a 4-overtime loss to Princeton. That was a South Creek tournament. Aces are going to Hertford County on Friday, so that's not going to make things any easier for Coach Robert Woodley back at Edenton. He went to his former school in Currituck on Monday. Lost that one 48-38. Currituck's like, all right, you going to retire on us? I see how it is. You going to come back 6 months later? I see how it is. See how it is. We're going to win.
Can I get my gift back?
Yes, I want my gift back. So we gave you some golf balls and a bag. I want those back. Okay?
Night pride.
That's part of the deal. Yeah, night pride. Where's my red zone peeps at? And now that they've lost 4 in a row, because I saw Edenton's first game, played Brookwomen's, played a really good game, worked enough in the half-court offense to get shots. But now, are you starting to see, Malcolm, that rust is coming up? Like maybe that was adrenaline. Mm-hmm. Now you're seeing where the football season being pushing into basketball so deep for Edenton. Is it showing, or is it adjusting to a new coach? What do you think it is?
I think it'd be a little bit of both. I mean, when you're just jumping right into basketball after football and you don't have that proper time to kind of get prepared and learn the intricacies of, a new offense, those mistakes are starting to show on the court, So, a combination of all of that and the players starting to get to know a coach and the coach starting to know the players, it seems like starting to manifest for the Aces at this point, and probably at the wrong time of the year when you're in the heart of a conference play.
Yeah, and they're going to have 3 games a week into February because of all that.
Yeah.
3 games a week into February. Mm-hmm. We're going to see what the team's really made of, that's for sure.
You're going to have to learn on the fly.
A lot of learning. Yeah. But they've got some nice pieces. I really was impressed with them that first game, beating a Brookwomen's team that's already played 6 or 7 games and has meshed well. But for now, there's going to have to be some game where Laverne and Randall's going to have to go off for 30-some points, or Camonte Rayner, who I blowed about after that first game, just a freshman inside. There's going to have to be a few people like that really have a tremendous game to get that first win after this losing streak and put things in the right direction, because there are games Edenton can win on this schedule. Mm-hmm. I really believe that. I think the league is relatively balanced after you look at Hertford County and Northeastern. And I could have said that last couple of years. Mm-hmm. I'm probably repeating myself, but that's where it looks like right now, where we're headed. Colleges, ECSU begins the year with a trip to Livingstone on Thursday, followed by men's and women on the road again at Johnson C. Smith on Saturday. We know the Lady Vikings could steal one here and there. We've seen that. Mm-hmm. But the men, Malcolm, can the men win a CIAA game this year? We're talking about one game. Yeah. I'm talking about a dub at some point, and it happened.
These guys are athletes. They got pride, and I think that they can. They just have times where they just hit a really bad spot in the game from the times that I've seen them. I think there's enough talent that they can get a win. If it's going to be a win, you got to think most likely it's going to be against a Lincoln. You know, Lincoln's been struggling this year. If it's going to be against Lincoln or they're catching someone on the back end of a trip, you know, coming in here on a Thursday or a Wednesday night, and maybe they can catch them there. But I think ECSU, the men, can get a win.
One win.
Maybe two. Maybe they sweep Lincoln.
I don't know. Are they thirsty enough for a win?
I don't know.
So, I mean, no need to be speedy here.
Right.
No need to be too fast with it.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you get caught for a traffic violation or something. So you got to trust the process. Don't be too thirsty for a victory. You got to find your way into it.
Absolutely.
So ECSU, MACU, they get started next weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same. With MACU, you've got almost like a month there.
Yeah.
That's always been intriguing to me. They finish up, obviously, right before Christmas break, and then they don't start again until about mid-January. And that's got to be the hardest thing because you really haven't seen the guys at all in almost a month.
Yeah.
And then you get right into USCAA, which United States Collegiate Athletic Association play. If you're the Lady Mustangs, you've got a winning record so far. You've already got more wins in a season than you ever have already. So there's a lot to build on. You got Aaliyah McNeil, of course, just a freshman, doing some big things. With the men, you've got so many different players now for Coach Allen Harris, so that there's some good things happening. They host the Bible College NIT, which is just next month.
Mm-hmm.
You just hope that you can keep that momentum going. But when you take that month of break, I just think it's got to be a wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you always kind of want to be on a set schedule, especially as an athlete, you know. And to take that much time off, it's going to be interesting to see how they come out that first game next week. And because it's obvious to see when you watch this team that they're much more athletic and they got a lot more skill than last year. But again, you know, having that break, how are they going to be? Will they be responsible to take care of themselves, and will they come back in shape and, you know, jump back into play? It's going to be important to see that.
Yeah, something I did miss with the high schools, wrestling. You had Edenton winning a couple matches early this week.
Mm-hmm.
They've got some guys like Kyvon Rome and Josh Bass just jumping right into things.
Yep.
Now, Rome, another football guy, he comes right in. He's doing fine in the wrestling season. Curry took, of course, winning a quad meet, hosting one. Northeastern took 2 victories out of their 3 opponents in that quad at Curry Tuck. Pasquotank, you've got some wrestlers there. I mean, Jonathan Sutton has depth. I didn't see Javion Bass Knight. I didn't see any record of him, so I don't know if maybe he just came down a little flu bug or he wasn't available, but he's definitely another guy to watch out for this year as he's been a state qualifier the past 2 seasons. So definitely some good wrestling action as we get maybe 2 or 3 more weeks. You got the Northeastern Coastal Wrestling Championships. That's right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things going on. That's why we have to look forward once again.
Absolutely.
It's 2017, baby. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and close up shop. One of my favorite instrumentals on a wonderful album. As we close up, of course, remember to follow us on Twitter at NENC Sports. I'm at ONOBX. Malcolm?
I'm at Malcolm_Shields.
That's for the latest sports updates, as well as pick up a copy of the Daily Advance newspaper. We go beyond our radio time quite a bit. So go to YouTube if you're not on YouTube already. Search for either WRVS 89.9 or NENC Sports. For Owen Hassel, Malcolm Shields, have a great 2017, huh?
Absolutely.
It's the NENC, and don't you see?
Athletes live here.
NENC Sports Radio Show is produced at the WRVS-FM studios on the campus of Elizabeth City State University.